We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. What the slump yesterday is. The slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad. Happy Independence Day, everybody. I'm back with you with Bettor Off Dead for Independence Day, obviously, July 4th. I've been doing decently on the show the last couple of days. Yesterday I gave out 2 plays. One wound up basically being voided, even though it would have won if you still played it, which was the Royals-Mariners. I gave out under in the first 5 innings. And then I commented on the video later because it was announced that Brian Wu actually got pushed back to today, because I liked him as part of the handicap, and Logan Evans came back up from AAA to make the start. He actually did okay, and the game still went under full game and in the first 5 innings. So if you did play it, and you played it regardless of who the starting pitchers were, it still won, but I wound up not recommending it as a play anymore. When you make a play in baseball, of course, I usually recommend, because the starting pitchers are such a big part of the handicap, you could specify these starting pitchers must start for the bet to count, and if they don't wind up starting, then the bet is voided. So that's the way I like to do it. You can specify action, which is the other way to play baseball, which means the bet is going to stand regardless of who winds up starting. And there are certain places where you do want to do that, but almost always you want to specify these starting pitchers will start. So that's what happened there. And then Seattle Storm and WNBA, I did not expect that line to go back down, man. So I gave it out at -2 on the show. The line dropped to like -1. It got into a situation where you could basically get them on the money line at about -110. So if people played that later in the day, they probably got, at worst, a push on that, hopefully, because the -2 was not a winner. Seattle wound up winning by 1 point, and they actually got massively out-rebounded in the game. Other than that, they played well enough to win the game. I mean, obviously they did win, but if you got the -1, you pushed. If you got a money line play, you won on Seattle, and if you played the -2, unfortunately, you did lose. So yesterday was 0-1, or 1-1, or 0-1-1, or 0-0-1, or 2-0, or 2-0, I guess, depending on what you did with those games yesterday. So isn't that awesome? I'm going to give out 3 baseball plays today. They're all on sides. I play more baseball sides when you have the first day of a new series. I tend to find more like situations that way. So that's what we're going to wind up doing here. It's all baseball today, man. July 4th. Everybody hopefully is going to go out, celebrate, have cookouts, be with your family, man. Launch some fireworks off. If you're near the beach like I am, hang out at the beach, create some big bonfires and try not to get arrested. Have some beer, although I'm a sober man now. Have some burgers, hot dogs, celebrate America, man. Or as in the Simpsons episode where Homer buys the fireworks and they're at that beach town, celebrate the independence of your nation by blowing up a small part of it. Do that as well with some massive fireworks. All right, let's talk about these baseball games, man. We have some afternoon baseball, and we have a really early game that's coming up in less than an hour. Boston at Washington at 11 a.m., I guess, in Washington, D.C., I guess, to celebrate Independence Day. I don't even know, man. But both teams played yesterday, and Washington did play a doubleheader 2 days ago. So Washington's probably in the worst rest spot because of that. Or actually, excuse me, the Red Sox didn't play yesterday. What am I saying? As a Red Sox fan, I should know that. The Red Sox did not play yesterday. So the Red Sox actually do have a fairly significant rest edge in this game. They're starting a road trip, which tends to be a bit more of a focus spot when you start a road trip. Washington is staying at home, but they did just come off beating Detroit twice. So they probably feel pretty good about themselves about that. So I think situation lines up better on Boston in this game. The starting pitching matchup, actually, I kind of like both pitchers in this game, though. Red Sox are down from -114 to -112 as a road favorite, and that's how bad Washington is, according to the odds makers. 67% of tickets, 71% of cash on the Red Sox. I probably would have a slight agreement with the Red Sox side, but I actually think I would probably be looking towards an under in this game, but probably under first 5 innings. We see the total kind of just sitting at 8.5, but 80% of tickets on the over and 67% of the cash on the over. The Red Sox don't really hit as well on the road, but I hate Washington's bullpen. Washington's bullpen is terrible. I kind of like the starting pitching matchup, which is insane that I would be saying that about Giolito at this point, but I think under in the first 5 innings might be the way to look at this game. That is not going to be something I'm going to recommend actually playing, but that's probably the best lean that I would have in this game. As I mentioned, Lucas Giolito pitching for the Red Sox. They picked him up over the offseason. He's had some major struggles this year in some games, although most of them have been at home. He's been better on the road, and he's been better recently. He has a 3.99 ERA, 1.33 whip. ERA on the road, 2.15, so much better on the road. And he's been better recently. He had a 3.04 ERA and 25-8 strikeout walk ratio in June, and that included getting absolutely bombed by Anaheim, and even including that, his numbers were that good. As after that game, and the Red Sox won that game, which is even more ridiculous. But after that game, the Red Sox proceeded to win 3 out of his last 4 starts as well. He gave up 0 runs in 3 of the 4 and went at least 6 innings in 3 of the 4. So Giolito is actually pitching better as of late. And against Washington, he has okay numbers in 42 at-bats. He has a nice 11-1 strikeout walk ratio. They have some hits against him, but not exactly hard hits. 286 average is a bit high, but a somewhat low 683 OPS. With the OPS, I know I just spout these numbers out. The OPS, I think about 750 is kind of the threshold, like the Mendoza line on the OPS, where you can kind of start saying, okay, this pitcher starts doing poorly against this offense if he's allowing over a 750 OPS. So I think Giolito is okay against Washington, and their offense sucks. He's going up against Michael Soroka, who I think is better than his ERA looks. 4.7 ERA, 1.03 whip. He's been better at home, 3.91 ERA. So both starting pitchers here do have the better of the home road splits. Washington's lost 4 straight starts behind Soroka, but a lot of it, not exactly his fault. A lot of it has been the fault of the bullpen, giving up a lot of runs after he's out of the game. He's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in every start, or he did that in June. 3.49 ERA and 36-9 strikeout walk ratio in June. So his numbers were actually pretty good in June. Red Sox have very limited playing time against him. They only have 4 at-bats against him. They are 2 for 4 off him with no extra base hits, no walks, and a strikeout. So really not a lot to see in that sample size. So again, probably lean to the starting pitchers doing okay there. Stacks, what's up, man? Scott, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Yes, happy Independence Day to everybody. Andrew, happy Independence Day, man. Coding. Yes, coding is what I used to do before I got canceled from the industry there. But anyway, yeah, lean to first 5 inning under in that game. Cincinnati at Philadelphia. I'm actually going to give out a play on this, and it is a nice hefty underdog price on Cincinnati at plus 135. I like the Reds in this game, man. I like the Reds in this pitching matchup. I think you might be getting a little bit of value on this Reds team right now. The Reds bullpen isn't very good, but neither bullpen is that good. So I think we can kind of just roll with the full game here. Both teams, I believe, had yesterday off. So there's no real rest advantage one way or the other. But Philadelphia, I mean, they have been playing some more important series recently as they played Mets, Houston, Atlanta, San Diego, and they just beat San Diego in a series. They might be feeling a little bit good about themselves, and they did play a doubleheader 2 days ago, so even though they had yesterday off, maybe a little bit less rest. Cincinnati also played like 1.5 games on that day against the Red Sox, but Cincinnati, yes, they are traveling, but they're coming in from Boston. Not a huge amount of travel there for Cincinnati. And I do think Cincinnati will have their focus on Philadelphia because Philadelphia right now has one of the best records in the National League. And yes, Philadelphia is good at home, but I think we could fade them in this spot, man. Philadelphia is sitting at up from minus 150 to minus 152, but they're getting the public action, 57% of the tickets, because they have the good offense. Everybody likes their offense. Cincinnati's offense is okay, and people like Philadelphia just because their record is better, but 53% of the cash coming in on Cincinnati. I prefer Cincinnati's starting pitcher, man, in this battle of lefties here. Andrew Abbott, who is really, really having a good season, his best season of his career. 1.79 ERA, 1.02 whip. I mean, eventually, I don't think his numbers are going to be quite this good, but man, he has been good so far this year. 1.42 road ERA as well, so he's been better on the road. In June, he had a 2.2 ERA across 5 starts, 23-4 strikeout walk ratio. He's not a guy that comes in and absolutely blows everybody away, but his control has been good, not walking a lot of guys, not allowing a ton of hits. He's been good. The home run ball may be a little bit of an issue, but I think the home run ball's hurt him more at home as he's allowed 7 of the 9 home runs he's allowed at home. So again, better for his road splits there, and he's on the road here. I know Philadelphia is a good hitting team, but he has good numbers against them, man. 29 at-bats against them. They only have a 172 average and 570 OPS against him. 7-5 strikeout walk ratio is a little bit iffy, but other than that, Abbott, he has not given up a lot of hard hits against this Philly team in his career so far. So I like how that pans out for Abbott. He's up against Luzardo, who has really started to kind of fall off a bit after he was really good early in the season. 4.06 ERA, 1.41 whip. That is a very high whip at this point. He's been a little bit better at home, 3.78 ERA at home, but he had a pretty bad month of June, man. I mean, I know he got torched in 2 starts. The last start in May and the first start in June against Milwaukee and Toronto, he got blasted. But he hasn't totally settled down from that. He had a 5.4 ERA in June. A 30-10 strikeout walk ratio was okay. I mean, really high strikeout rate. But his walk rate continues to be high, and he's walked 8 guys over the last 3 starts, which is not great, even though his strikeout rate was still pretty high, 18 strikeouts over that span. But, again, he's just walking too many guys. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think he's in the greatest form right now. He did walk 3 guys last time out against Atlanta. So I think he's a bit more of the iffy starter here. And up against Cincinnati, they don't have a huge sample size against him, but in 17 at-bats, Austin Hayes has 2 home runs off him. He has a 3.3 strikeout walk ratio against Cincinnati's 4 hitters who have seen him. That amounts to a 353 average against him and 1,215 OPS. So I actually like Cincinnati in this game, man. I think we can roll with Abbott. I think we can roll with the full game because I don't think there's a huge bullpen edge, especially not for Philadelphia. I think probably Cincinnati would get the slight bullpen edge in that game. So that is a play that I will give out. You can take the run line if you want to on Cincinnati, and I recommend because you have to pay a bit more to get plus 1.5 runs on them. You could split the bet half on the run line, half on the money line, and kind of do it that way. And then it's basically like, oh, well, if Cincinnati loses by 1, you'll win like a little bit of money. Of course, if they win, you'll get the whole thing. You could do it that way if you want to and be a little bit less risk averse in a way. But you do have to put more money on the line to get that, to do that split bet. But either way you want to do it, Cincinnati, I like them in that game. St. Louis is at the Cubs, and I think St. Louis does have some advantages in this game because the Cubs had to go to extra innings yesterday to finish off sweeping Cleveland. The Cubs won 1-0 in 10 innings yesterday, while St. Louis wasn't even playing. So there is a disadvantage to the Cubs, even though they're not traveling. They're staying at home. St. Louis is only traveling in from Pittsburgh, which not a huge amount of travel for St. Louis. And I think St. Louis probably going to be a little bit pissed off because they, just like the Cubs, they also swept Cleveland when they just faced them. But then they went to Pittsburgh, and not only did they get swept by this bad Pittsburgh team, but they didn't even score a run in the series. This St. Louis team, yeah, I mean, I've been saying they're not as good as their record would tell you, but they're not as bad as scoring 0 runs in an entire series against Pittsburgh, man. So I think St. Louis is going to come out of that series a little bit angry and probably focus on the Cubs here. So I think there are some reasons to like St. Louis in this game. Again, Chicago not rested because they played an extra inning game yesterday. Miles McCullers is pitching for St. Louis, though. So if you want St. Louis, you got to deal with this guy. McCullers, 4.76 ERA, 1.32 whip. Home road split's very insignificant for him. He's just not been that great. I mean, he did have a 22-4 strikeout walk ratio in June, which is pretty good, but gave up some hard contact, gave up 6 home runs over the month, 34 hits in 26 innings, and his team lost 3 of the 5 starts. So he was not pitching exactly great, and he got bombed in a couple of starts. 6 runs allowed against Toronto and Cleveland in his most recent start. Although, over his last 3 starts, he did have an 18-3 strikeout walk ratio. So again, his command has been pretty good, but he's been giving up a lot of hard contact, man, because he does pitch to contact. He's kind of an older guy, and he is just kind of that type of pitcher. Doesn't blow guys away, really. He's a contact pitcher. His numbers against the Cubs are not great, and they have a lot of familiarity with him. 167 at bats, Really nice 32-3 strikeout walk ratio, but they have a 305 average off him and 761 OPS. So again, decent strikeout walk numbers, or actually good strikeout walk numbers, but he's allowed a lot of hits to this Cubs team. So I don't know if we could trust McCullers, man, given this matchup and this role. If it was some other pitcher for St. Louis, I would probably be recommending a play on St. Louis here, but I don't think I can do it here. And I don't like Colin Ray, who's pitching for the Cubs here. 4.37 ERA, 1.37 whip. I told you his good numbers early in the season wouldn't last. 4.53 home ERA, so he's a little bit worse at home. He's been dicey as well over the last month. Cubs have won 4 of his last 5 starts, but 5.19 ERA over that span, not very good. 13-3 strikeout walk ratio. So again, similar to McCullers, where he doesn't walk a lot of guys, doesn't strike out a lot of guys, and he gives up a lot of contact, a lot of hits, and he also allowed 6 home runs in that month. So it's kind of like a mirror image. Both of these starting pitchers almost mirror images of each other, but Ray actually has the better matchup numbers in 42 at-bats against St. Louis, 214 average, 560 OPS, 7-5 strikeout walk ratio. So I like St. Louis given the situation. The money seems to agree with it. Cubs are down from -148 to -132, 84% of tickets, 60% of the cash on the Cubs. I agree with that. I would still lean to St. Louis, but the pitching matchup numbers look counter to the situation. So I like the situation more than I like the pitching matchup. So that's the way that I lean. But I don't think it's very strong. Cubs, again, because they played yesterday into extra innings, their bullpen situation kind of negates the fact that they probably have the somewhat better bullpen than St. Louis does. Cubs, of course, also do have the better offense. So do with all that information what you will. It would be a slight lean from me on the St. Louis side on the full game in that one, just to factor in the rest scenario as much as possible. We have the Subway Series, New York, taking place today. Both teams played yesterday. The Yankees got swept up in Toronto in a 4-game series. Toronto overtook them in the AL East, which is crazy. I'm not sad about it, being a Red Sox fan. The Mets also played yesterday and finished a series against Milwaukee, where they actually played 2 games the day before that, so neither team is very well rested here. The starting pitching matchup doesn't look really great either here for either team. Marcus Stroman is pitching for the Yankees. Not a fan. This season he's been really bad. 8.16 ERA, 1.67 whip. I don't even know if we care about his home road splits. He's just bad both ways, but he's only made 4 starts this season. So he pitched early in the season, got injured. He was really bad early in the season. Then he came back. He did have his best start coming back from injury against the A's at New York, but he still only had 1 strikeout in 5 innings in that game and walked 2 guys, although he held them to 1 earned run on a home run. But I'm not ready to say that Stroman is all of a sudden going to be like blowing guys away. I mean, he's kind of a mediocre pitcher. He's up there in age a bit. He's short, so we never like that, right? Imagine if I was out there pitching. That wouldn't be good, right? The only short pitcher who's ever really been that good is Pedro Martinez. Marcus Stroman is not him. He's 5'7", man. He's one of the shortest starting pitchers. He belongs in Tower Gang, basically. Stroman against, who are we facing here? Against the Mets. Does actually have good numbers against the Mets, though. 76 at-bats, Pretty bad, though, 15 to 10 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good. But he has held him to 224 average, 643 OPS. So Stroman does have good matchup numbers, but I hesitate, man, because he has so little playing time this season. I don't think he's that great. The Mets offense does have the ability to put up numbers if they actually are starting to come back and play well, which maybe they are because they did beat the Brewers twice in a row. So maybe the Mets are finally actually breaking out of that horrific streak that they had. Now the Pride month is over, baby. Justin Hagenman is listed as the starter for the Mets. No idea who this guy is. 1.5 ERA, 0.83 whip. He's 28 years old, and he's never pitched in the majors until this year, and he's only made 2 short stints this season. So even though his numbers look pretty good over that span, 5 strikeouts, no walks, 1 earned run allowed, 5 hits in 6 innings, that would equate to 1 good start. But he's done that in 2 outings. So he's been effective, but he's not pitching a lot of innings. So you're probably expecting Hagenman is probably not going to pitch deep into this game. The Mets bullpen is going to have to come in. And the Mets bullpen, not really well rested. Neither bullpen is very well rested here. Mets bullpen, really both bullpens have actually kind of been struggling recently too. So I think probably the way to look at this game might be a little bit of a lean towards an over. I mean, the total is at 9.5. It looks like the Mets actually are undecided on the pitcher now, so I don't even know if it's going to be Hagenman or what they're doing. They might be going with a bullpen game. Who knows? So possibly a look towards the over in this game. Again, the books, they're going to throw a total of 9.5 out there only if they think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game. So do with all that info what you will. As I always say, I hate repeating myself, but next up, I'm going to give out a play on the Tampa Bay Rays against Minnesota here. Tampa's been playing better than Minnesota has recently, but I think it's a bad spot for Minnesota. So I'll go with Tampa short -102 money line price, even though it does look like in the market, it looks like the public is on Tampa, 84% of tickets and cash, so I don't love that. And we see Minnesota just kind of sitting at -110. So market read hasn't really shaped up yet, although on Action Network, it did look like more of the money was coming in on Tampa, even though I think the public is also probably on Tampa because they have been hot. They have the better record, but Tampa's good on the road, man, away from that stupid Steinbrenner field they play in at home. They don't really have a huge home advantage. They're actually 20-14 on the road, which is pretty good. Even though the Twins are certainly better at home, they're bad on the road too. Twins 22-17 at home, but this is a return home spot for the Twins, man, which is part of the reason why I want to fade them here. Twins just went to Detroit, which is a big divisional series, even though this also is a somewhat big series against a pretty good Tampa team. But they just went to Detroit, and then they went down to Miami. Minnesota, I mean, they haven't been playing well. They lost both series, and now they're coming back home. And sometimes the tendency for bettors will be, oh, this team's coming back home now, so they're going to bounce back and do better. But that's not really the way that it works, man. A lot of times the team, when they return home from a road trip, they get caught in a little bit of a distraction. They have to get back to family life. Things happen. You have stuff to do at home. And Minnesota did also play yesterday at Miami. I know it was getaway day. They played early. It was an afternoon game. But still, they played yesterday, and Tampa didn't play. So Tampa has a rest advantage because they got yesterday off. And Minnesota's bullpen hasn't been pitching well. Even though they didn't use a lot of their bullpen yesterday, their bullpen has not been pitching well. And Tampa's bullpen, I think, has to have the edge here. They're the better bullpen at this point, and they're rested. So I think Tampa has the bullpen edge. I think Tampa has an offensive edge here, too, because Minnesota's hitting. Nothing to really look at. Tampa just had lost 3 games in a row and then finally beat the A's. So they are coming off 2 losing series against Baltimore and the A's. So I think Tampa, they're not really that hot right now either. They were hot before that. I think they're going to be ready to go, man. I mean, they're in this battle for the AL East right now. I think they're going to be focused. You start a road trip. You finally beat the A's after you've been playing badly at home. You break that, loss streak. Get out on the road. I think it's a good situation to get out on the road. And, of course, as I said, Tampa's home advantage isn't even that great at playing in a spring training stadium this year. So I like the situation for Tampa, man. I really like jumping on teams that are starting a road trip against teams returning from road trips because you have this focus disparity where the team starting the road trip usually tends to be more focused, whereas the team returning home tends to be unfocused because they have to return back to family life, whereas the team getting out on the road is like putting all those distractions away. You know what I mean? And just getting to focus on baseball. Zach Littell is pitching for Tampa, and he's pitching pretty well. 3.61 ERA, 1.07 whip. Fairly insignificant home road splits. He was good in the month of June, very good control-wise, 23-2 strikeout walk ratio. He actually had 4 straight starts where he didn't walk anybody, and actually 6 of 7 starts going back into May didn't walk anybody. Walked a couple in his last outing, but it was still a 7-inning, 1-run performance against Baltimore. So his command has been good. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in every start going all the way back to, all but 1 start going all the way back to early April. The only start where he allowed more than that was a 4-run outing at Fenway Park, which is not an easy place to pitch. Still had a 6.0 strikeout walk ratio in that outing and had a 3 ERA in the month of June, even though his team lost 3 out of the 5 starts that he made. Prior to that, they were on this nice run where they'd won 8 straight starts of his. So Littell, he is continuing to pitch well. It's a matter of he's gonna have to get some run support, but I think he can do that in this game. I think he's the preferable of the 2 starters here. He's definitely the more consistent of the 2 starters. Good numbers against Minnesota, or decent numbers, and 71 at bats. Yeah, they are familiar with him, but 239 average, 740 OPS, 17-5 strikeout walk ratio. Fairly good numbers, other than the fact they have 4 home runs off him. So I like Littell. He's pitching well. I like how he matches up here, and I don't like Chris Paddock from Minnesota as much. 4.7 ERA, 1.23 whip. Paddock has been better at home, though. 3.58 ERA at home, but he's not really in good form right now, man. And Minnesota's they lost 5 of his 6 appearances in June. He had a 6.06 ERA, even though he did post a 23-5 strikeout walk ratio. A lot of that was because he had one really good 10 strikeout performance against Seattle. And since then, not anywhere near as good with the strikeout walk ratio. He's failed to go more than 5 innings in all but 1 start since then. He's not going deep into games. His team going back into late May has actually lost 7 of his last 8 starts. Not a good sign. They've lost most of his starts on the season, actually. Overall, I just don't think Paddock is as trustworthy. He's given up too many home runs, too. He gave up 6 home runs in the month of June there, which is also not good. Up against Tampa, let me see. I have to switch to Tampa here. Tampa has okay numbers against him in 21 at-bats, 286 average, where they have very few extra base hits, so a pretty low 652 OPS. So I know Littell's OPS allowed to the opposing lineup is actually higher than Paddock's is, but I still think Paddock is the less trustworthy of the 2 pitchers here, and a 4-1 strikeout walk ratio for him against Tampa. But I prefer Tampa in this one, man. I think that is the way to look in this game. I think the spot sets up nicely for it, so I will recommend the Rays in that game against the Twins. Pittsburgh at Seattle. According to the board here that I'm looking at with pregame here, Pittsburgh is undecided on a pitcher. So I don't know if it's going to be Falter or not, because ESPN does have Falter listed right now. Seattle is staying at home. Seattle played yesterday against Kansas City and used some of their bullpen, and they did play a night game. So Seattle is definitely at a rest disadvantage, even though now we're getting into kind of the late afternoon games here, at least. But Seattle having to go from a night game to an afternoon game here, it's not the greatest rest spot for Seattle here. Pittsburgh was off yesterday, but Pittsburgh might be in line for a little bit of a letdown, because they got to be feeling a little bit high after sweeping St. Louis and shutting them out over a 3-game series. But again, they do have a rest advantage here. Pittsburgh does. But overall, Seattle does have the better bullpen. So I guess you have to kind of factor all that in. Better bullpen for Seattle, but a rest disadvantage. And they did use some of their bullpen yesterday. If it is Falter on the mound for Pittsburgh, he does have a 3.62 ERA, 1.22 whip, which is not bad. But he has faltered more on the road with a 4.19 road ERA, which isn't as good. Wasn't good in the month of June at all, with a 5.14 ERA and 11-10 strikeout walk ratio. Really, really alarming numbers there. Too many walks, not a strikeout guy. Last outing, he only went 1 2/3 against the Mets, but I don't know if there might have been a rain delay in that game, because he wasn't really pitching that bad or throwing a lot of pitches. So I don't really know why Falter came out of that game. Pittsburgh has actually won 5 of his last 6 starts, which is kind of crazy. They've won 8 of his last 10 starts, which is wild to think about. So he's been limiting the damage at the very least. Up against Seattle, he does have good numbers. In 37 at-bats, he has a 16-0 strikeout walk ratio, very high strikeout rate and no walks. Crazy. 189 average allowed to them and 405 OPS. So Falter does appear to match up pretty well against Seattle. If it is going to be him, but we don't even know if it is going to be him. And it is going to be Bryan Woo for Seattle, who was originally slated to start yesterday. 2.93 ERA, 0.97 whip. I mean, he's been really good. Even better at home. 2.08 home ERA. 3.19 ERA in 5 starts in June with a 33-8 strikeout walk ratio. But his run support has been awful recently. And Seattle has actually lost 5 of his last 7 starts, which is crazy because Woo has been pitching well, so it has not been his fault. He is going up against a pretty weak Pirates lineup here who are only 1 for 5 off him lifetime with no extra base hits, no walks, no strikeouts. So only 2 Pirates hitters have ever seen Woo before. So matchup-wise, it looks like both of those pitchers match up pretty well. A very low total, down from 7.5 to 7. So maybe kind of indicating that maybe it is going to be Falter in this game, but who knows? Maybe an under is worth looking at in this game, but with Seattle's bullpen being a bit unrested and Pittsburgh not having a very good bullpen, kind of want to look like first 5 inning under maybe in this game otherwise, but even that would worry me because you have to go under a really low total, and with Pittsburgh's pitching question marks here, even if Falter is on the mound, there are some question marks around him, so I still wouldn't want to actually have money on this. Seattle actually down from -190 to -176 as well, probably because they played yesterday in Pittsburgh. Does have the rest advantage, for Pittsburgh. Finishing this off, my last play I'm going to give out is the Texas Rangers, -105. Texas is a rested team. They did not play yesterday, so I like how this sets up for Texas. They are starting a road trip. Yes, they're having to go out to the Pacific Coast, but it's a little bit easier for a central team like Texas to go out to the Pacific Coast, especially with a day off. You can kind of acclimate and adjust to the time zone difference. It's a lot more difficult for a team like an East Coast team with no time off, having to go all the way out to the West Coast and play like a later game that's going to be going, probably until like midnight, their biological clock time. At least for Texas, this is a 6:40 Eastern game, so it's really only going to go slightly late into the night for, a central team like Texas. So I don't worry about that much. Texas has some momentum as well, as they just beat Baltimore twice, which you beat a bad team like Baltimore and you carry that momentum out on the road. I think that's a positive situation as well. So I like the spot for Texas. Don't like it as much for San Diego. San Diego had yesterday off as well, but they're returning home from a long road trip. Well, not long road trip, but they went to Cincinnati and Philly, so they did have to go all the way to the East Coast, and now they're coming back from that, and they actually didn't do well. They lost both series, and now they're coming back home. So again, I think the general sense from the public or whatever is going to be, oh well, they're going to bounce back now that they're at home. Especially San Diego, they're actually a lot better at home than they are on the road. They're pretty bad on the road, as I've pointed out multiple times. But again, a return home spot like this, you're flying back cross country. So actually, San Diego has more travel than Texas does here because they're traveling from the Eastern time zone. So they have to adjust more than Texas does here. So I think it's a bad spot. And again, when you return home, I think it's a distraction spot. You got to get back to family life. So I do not like the spot for San Diego. I think it's a much better spot for Texas. Both bullpens are good, but we'll include them both in the game here, man, because I don't think there's a huge advantage one way or the other as far as the bullpen is concerned. So I think we can leave it in. Yes, San Diego has the better offense. That is something to worry about. But we're going to roll with Texas, and we're actually going to roll with Kumar Rocker, who I know he's had a really, really shaky start to his major league career. 6.13 ERA, 1.54 whip this year, which is not good, obviously. He's been really bad on the road, 11.34 ERA. But this is a pitcher-friendly park, man, and he has been pitching better recently as his team has won his last 3 starts, and he got no run support behind him in those starts either, and they still won them all, even though, granted, yes, White Sox, Pittsburgh, those are weak offenses for sure, and Seattle is an okay offense, but he actually started pitching well after a bad start to start June against Tampa. The last 3 starts, he allowed 0, 2, and 2 earned runs, went at least 5 innings in all 3. I had a 14-5 strikeout walk ratio, which is definitely better because his wildness has been a concern. He throws hard. He has the ability to strike guys out at the major league level, so that means his ceiling is pretty high. Anybody that can strike guys out like that has a high ceiling. A lot of times you got to worry about their wildness, which is the case with Rocker. He gives up too many walks and he gives up too many hits, but over the last month he hasn't been as prone to giving up hits. So I think that's a good sign as well. Rocker seems to be kind of rounding into form a little bit. And the other advantage he's going to have here is San Diego has not seen him before. The other advantage, that he is going to have here. San Diego has never seen Rocker before, so I think that's going to help Rocker. His road numbers, they're bad, but again, he's pitching in a very pitcher-friendly park here as well. So I think that might bode well for him here. I like it. I like how it sets up for Rocker, and I think he is the preferable pitcher over Randy Vasquez, who I never really liked. People are going to look at this and think, oh, San Diego's back at home. They have the pitcher with the way better ERA. This is easy, right? Take San Diego, but I completely disagree with that. Again, Rocker is a lot better than what his numbers would suggest. Vasquez, 3.84 ERA looks good, but a 1.39 whip is awful. So that is not good. He has been better at home. It's a more pitcher-friendly park, 3.14 ERA at home. Yet he has allowed more home runs at home, 7 to 5 on the road. So home run disparity, it hasn't really mattered for him which park he's pitching. And even though this is a less home run conducive ballpark, but with a 1.39 whip, there's something wrong with Vasquez, man. He just walks way too many guys, and his strikeout rate is never high. His numbers in June, pretty alarming, even though San Diego won 4 of his 6 starts. He had a 4.34 ERA and a 16 to 12 strikeout walk ratio and gave up 6 bombs. That is not good, and he only went 5 innings in 2 of those 6 starts. So he's not getting deep into games, so the bullpen may very well have to come in earlier for San Diego here. So that can kind of have that like domino effect, where if you think the bullpens are close to being about equal, especially when both bullpens are rested and they're both pretty good, the team that has to go to the bullpen first, a lot of times that's going to carry over that's going to reflect in the bullpen usage. You know what I mean? It's going to mean that you probably want to go against that team. But yeah, Vasquez, just all season long, he's just been walking too many guys. That's just his thing. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys, walks too many guys. He doesn't allow that many runs, but he doesn't go deep into games, man. I know he's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in all but one start all season, but his numbers are just not very good. Again, giving up 3, 4 runs, whatever, is not as impressive when you don't go deep into games. His last outing at Cincinnati, I know it was at a very hitter-friendly park, but he only went 4 1/3, gave up 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He's not in very good form right now, man. Up against the Texas Rangers offense, where we're looking, I think they have very limited playing time against him. Yeah, only Berger has seen him before, and he's 1 for 3 with an RBI double. No walks, no strikeouts, so not a whole lot to see. So yes, Texas's offense is a bad offense, and they're not familiar with Vasquez either. But Vasquez, there is more footage on him because he's been around for longer than Rocker has. Rocker has the way, way higher ceiling. So I think when it's a bad situation for San Diego, they have a pitcher that just walks way too many guys, man, up against a guy, again, that is a strikeout machine and has better stuff. I think we're going to go with the young pitcher with the better stuff in the better spot here, man. Texas Rangers on the money line there is the final play I'm actually going to give out, and the money seems to really agree with this. San Diego down from -115 to -107, 58% of the tickets on them, 77% of the cash coming in on Texas. So the money seems to agree with me. I like it, and that is that. Toronto is coming off sweeping the Yankees here. We'll talk Anaheim against the Blue Jays here. Toronto could be in a letdown spot, man. They just overtook the AL East from the Yankees and swept them in a 4-game series, and they're staying at home, so it looks like they might be ripe for a letdown here. Thing is, Anaheim, again, I keep saying Anaheim is not as good as their record tells you that they are. They have a bad run differential, although they did just beat Atlanta yesterday, but I did tell you on the show, I liked Anaheim in that game yesterday. I wish I gave it out as a play because Soriano, I much preferred him over Bryce Elder in that game yesterday. So Anaheim is coming off a pretty nice series as well at Atlanta and having to travel all the way up to Toronto. So it's not exactly a great spot for Anaheim either. Both teams in somewhat of letdown territory here, although Toronto's in the bigger letdown spot. Kyle Hendricks is pitching for Anaheim here. Haven't liked this guy in years. 4.66 ERA, 1.3 whip, not good, but some of his numbers, as I'm going to show you, suggest that maybe he won't be that bad here. He is bad on the road, though, 5.44 ERA, but in June, he had a 3.21 ERA across 5 starts. His team won 4 of the 5 starts, including a shutout against the Yankees for 6 innings. He went at least 5 in every one of those outings, and 21 to 5 strikeout walk ratio over those games. So Hendricks actually has been pitching reasonably well as of late. So he is in decent form right now. So maybe not a guy that you really want to fade right now. Up against Toronto, he has okay numbers as well. Small sample size, 16 at bats. Only has one strikeout against them, but no walks. 250 average, 688 OPS. Hendricks, again, doesn't look like the worst matchup for him up against Toronto. He's going up against Eric Lauer, who has just joined Toronto's rotation, was a relief pitcher for a while. He's not a guy that's going to go that deep, but he has been pitching pretty effectively. 2.6 ERA, 1.07 whip on the season, 2.25 home ERA. He's been better at home. In June, 2.49 ERA across 6 appearances. His team won his last 5 appearances. He had a 25-7 strikeout walk ratio, but he only made it 5 innings twice out of all those appearances. So even though he's not allowing a lot of runs, his command has been pretty good, but he's not going deep into games. He's coming in, he's going to give you probably somewhere around in the neighborhood of 4 innings. He'll allow 2 or so runs, keep you in the game, and that's basically the name of the game for Lauer there. So he is kind of more of a workman, I guess I would say. Not Brandon Workman. I don't know where that guy is now. Used to be on the Red Sox. Lauer up against, let me see, who are we up against here? Who am I even talking about here? What did I just say? Up against Anaheim, right? Yeah, Anaheim. Let me see. 25 at bats. They only have 3 hitters who have ever seen him before. They have a 1-2 strikeout walk ratio against him. Soler has a home run off him. 240 average allowed and 736 OPS. So Lauer, mediocre numbers against Anaheim. So I think probably would have a slight lean to Anaheim. I think the letdown situation I just think is worse for Toronto. I mean, that was a huge sweep that they're coming off of there. Toronto's down from -165 to -158. 85% of tickets, 85% of the cash. So they're very public. I would probably limit it to first 5 innings, though, because Anaheim's bullpen is just terrible. So I would probably look Anaheim first 5 innings as an underdog. That would probably be the better way to look at that game if you wanted to actually play the game. Let me just make sure I was looking at Hendricks against the right opponents here. I think I was, right? Yeah, because his numbers suck against the Braves, so I'm pretty sure I switched it to Toronto. Okay, Detroit is at Cleveland. Cleveland just got swept at Chicago. They've been awful recently, man. I mean, they've lost, 7 games in a row now. Not playing well at all. Their offense is bad. Cleveland, not a very good team. They're technically returning home from a road trip, but it was only a 1-series road trip to the Cubs. So it's not really a spot where they're going to be distracted. And, of course, with Detroit being their opponent, I don't think they're going to be unfocused against the team that has, the best record in baseball. So they're probably not going to be unfocused. And by the way, Detroit, I've been watching for love of the game for some 90s nostalgia there. I threw that on because it's on Netflix right now. It's going to be off of Netflix soon, I think, with Kevin Costner as the old Detroit starting pitcher there who was I believe if I remember correctly, going for a perfect game against the Yankees to try to prevent them from winning the division against the Red Sox. So it's an anti-Yankee movie too. So how about that? And it's got John C. Reilly in it. I like that guy as Costner's catcher there. So, if you want to throw on a baseball movie, a movie that's going to make dudes cry a little bit, there you go. You can throw that game on. It's 90s nostalgia, baby. Anyway, yeah, Detroit is at Cleveland here. Detroit does have the better bullpen of the two, I would say, but both teams did play yesterday. Detroit played 2 games the day before yesterday. So Detroit, they did have to use their bullpen a bit yesterday because Enns did not really do well for them yesterday. As I said, I thought he was a bit of a mirage. Detroit, yeah, so neither team, and Cleveland had to go to extra innings yesterday, so neither team has a good bullpen rest scenario here. So that kind of eliminates itself to the point where maybe you still kind of lean to Detroit because of that. But I think we want to look at the starting pitching matchup here. I'm not going to give out a play on this, but I kind of like the starting pitching matchup. Reese Olson is making his comeback for Detroit. He's one of their young arms here, and he's good. He's basically their second best starting pitcher besides Schoolball, obviously. Olson has been hurt, and Detroit's still chugging along and doing really well. And if Olson comes back and he's pitching as well as he has over the last few seasons, that's really going to help this Detroit team, man. With that 1-2 punch between those two starters, it'll be good. This season, he was pretty good as well before he got hurt. 2.96 ERA, 1.17 whip. A little bit worse on the road, 3.76 ERA, so not as good on the road. But before he got hurt, he was pitching well. He got hurt in mid-May. And in May, he had a 19-5 strikeout walk ratio, 1.72 ERA in the month of May. So he was starting to pitch better and clean it up after he was walking too many guys for a while this season. But he is a guy that can definitely strike guys out at the major league level. He has good stuff, man. He has multiple seasons under his belt that you can look at for his numbers. So you know that Olson is good. Cleveland certainly has seen him before, but his numbers are good against Cleveland at 51 at-bats, 235 average, 683 OPS, 8-4 strikeout walk ratio. So Olson matches up pretty well against Cleveland here. He's a good pitcher, man. I mean, the only question is, how is he going to do coming back from injury? And I know, again, there are handicappers that see this in opposing ways. There are a lot of handicappers who are like, I don't want anything to do with a pitcher coming back from injury. And there are other pitchers, which I kind of subscribe, or other handicappers, I kind of subscribe to this other camp where these handicappers are like, well, if this pitcher is a veteran, they're used to, kind of the ins and outs of how this goes. They're used to coming back from injury. Although Olson is young, so maybe he's not quite as used to it, but with like veteran pitchers, at least you kind of want to go with them because they're like excited to get back on the hill. They want to get back out there. They've made rehab starts, so they are ready to go. The only question is, which I think is kind of a nod towards the other guys who like to stay away from those pitchers, is that you don't know if that pitcher is going to be on a pitch count in their first game back. That's kind of the issue. Like, are they going to just be totally unleashed and get like a full starter's workload, or are they going to be limited a little bit and maybe give you about 5 innings or so? So that's kind of the question, remains to be seen. But if you look first 5 innings in this game, you can kind of expect that Olson's probably going to get you the first 5. He's going up against Slade Ciccone, who I think is a pretty talented young pitcher as well. 3.64 ERA, 1.31 whip isn't very good. He walks too many guys. He's been bad at home as well so far, 5.79 ERA, but it's a small sample size because basically at the same point that Olson got hurt, Ciccone came back from injury. So Ciccone had a delayed start to the season, and this is his first time pitching with Cleveland. Well, he's new to Cleveland this year, I should say. Let me rephrase that. So this is his first season with Cleveland. He's overall been fairly good, though, even though his walk number is too high. In the month of June, he had a 25-9 strikeout walk ratio, which is decent. Didn't allow more than 3 earned runs in any start. And he's, over the course of the entire season, he's only allowed more than 3 once. Although his last outing wasn't great. He gave up 3 runs, only went 4 2/3 against St. Louis, but in the prior 4 starts, he went at least 5 in every one of those starts. Pitched okay against the Yankees as well. Had a 2.7 ERA over that span of 5 starts in June. Ciccone, yeah, I mean, he is pitching pretty well recently. And Detroit, actually, surprisingly, Detroit has seen him before because I think he actually pitched against Detroit early this year because otherwise they wouldn't have seen him because Ciccone was in the National League. He was on Arizona. So, yeah, he did pitch against Detroit once this year at Detroit, where Detroit is pretty good. And Ciccone went 6 innings and only allowed 1 run against him, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 hits. So he had a good outing against Detroit there, but that does mean Detroit is now familiar with him. So that might mean Detroit might have a little bit of an easier time hitting him this time because they did see him earlier this year. But overall, if you look at what he did in that, basically in that start, 17 at-bats for Detroit against him, 5-1 strikeout walk ratio. Torkelson did have a home run off him, but he held him to 235 average, 748 OPS, a little bit high because of that home run. But overall, yeah, I mean, I think both starting pitchers line up okay in this one, even though I think you could probably expect Ciccone to do a little bit worse. But I think first 5 inning under is probably the way to lean in this game. The total's sitting at 8, 63% of tickets, 82% of the cash on the under. I would want to exclude the bullpens after all their usage over the last couple of days. I think both starting pitchers may do well here, though, so that's probably the way that I would look. Detroit, actually, they're up from -105 to -116 as a road favorite here, although Detroit not really as good on the road, and the public is going to be all over Detroit because Cleveland's been awful, so obviously the public is going to be on the team with a better record, but Detroit looks too public, 92% of tickets and only 71% of the cash, so some of the professional money looks like it's taking a stab with Cleveland as the home underdog there. I don't know if I would go that far, but, I mean, we'll see. It remains to be seen because just if Olson is at full strength, he is the better of the 2 pitchers, but we'll see what actually happens there, man. Milwaukee is at Miami. Milwaukee coming off a big series against the Mets, man, where they did have to play 2 games 2 days ago. So Milwaukee not exactly in the greatest rest spot here. Miami also played yesterday, but they played in the afternoon. I think both teams actually did play in the afternoon, so they're having to play tonight, so they at least kind of have at least a day to kind of prepare for this. Miami is staying at home, so Miami does have a little bit of a travel edge, as Milwaukee's having to travel down from New York, but they are staying in the Eastern time zone. Quinn Priester is going to be on the mound for Milwaukee. Now, of course, both of these bullpens are not very good, and they're not totally rested either, so that is something to keep in mind here. Miami didn't use much of their bullpen yesterday, but they did use some of their better relievers yesterday, so I don't think we could trust either bullpen here. But Quinn Priester, for the Brewers, he's looking like a guy the Red Sox shouldn't have gotten rid of, man. The Red Sox had him very briefly at the end of last year, and he was awful last year, but he's still very young, and he is starting to pitch well. His numbers this year are actually pretty good at this point. 3.35 ERA now, 1.23 whip. He's done a little bit worse on the road, 3.66 ERA on the road, but he's been pitching well recently, and Milwaukee has won his last 6 starts. Milwaukee's won every single one of them. He's gone at least 5 innings in all but one, and he's gone 6 or more in 4 of the 6. In the month of June, he had a 1.98 ERA in 5 starts. His team won every one, of course, and had a 29-5 strikeout walk ratio. So Priester actually pitching really well, and he's coming off a 7-inning, 11 strikeout, 1 hit shutout against Colorado. Granted, yes, Colorado's a bad offense, but he's allowed 1 or fewer earned runs in 4 of his last 5 starts as well. Priester, I mean, he is in good form right now, man. I don't think there's anything else that you could really say about that. He is pitching pretty well right now, and he's facing a weak Miami lineup now who has not seen him very much at all. Sanchez is 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts off him, and the rest of Miami's lineup hasn't even seen him. So it looks fairly good for Priester in this matchup. Sandy Alcantara is going to be on the mound from Miami, and his numbers are bad this year. 6.98 ERA, 1.48 whip, as he's really struggling to come back from major injury and surgery issues over the last couple of seasons. Very unfortunate, but he has been better at home. 5.03 ERA, still not good, but better. And he's pitching a little bit better as of late. In June, he made 5 starts. His team won 3 of them. He had a 4.34 ERA, but a 23-5 strikeout walk ratio. So Alcantara, actually, even though his strikeout stuff isn't really exactly there, his command started to get a little bit better. And he gave up 3 or fewer earned runs in 4 of the 5. And then he did get torched last time out against Arizona, which was at Arizona. They're a good hitting team. It's a good hitting ballpark there. So I'm not going to fault him that much for that. And they still let him go 6 innings. He was still efficient. He didn't walk anybody in that start. Had 4 strikeouts, so it wasn't all that bad for him. And Miami actually wound up winning that game, which is crazy, even though he allowed 7 earned runs in the game. So Alcantara does seem like he is sort of kind of becoming a little bit better again. And he's going to be up against Milwaukee here, who is a good offense. Milwaukee is the way better of these 2 offenses. But he's been pretty good against them. Limited sample size, 61 at-bats. Mostly Hoskins is the one guy who's really seen him a lot, 41 at-bats, but they haven't done well against him in these 61 at-bats. 22-7 strikeout walk ratio, 164 average, and 509 OPS. So both starting pitchers, I'm actually going to say, are not in terrible form right now. I kind of like a first 5-inning under here, man, because I don't want to do anything with the bullpens. We have 68% of tickets on the over, 51% of the cash coming in on the under. The only reason I've not added this as a play right now is because every number that I saw at the Massachusetts books was you had to lay minus 130 to get it at under 4.5. And I was like, why can't I just find it at under 4 and lay less of a price on it? I don't know. But if you could do that, I would probably recommend this as a play under in the first 5 innings because I don't want anything to do with the bullpens. And I do think Priester is an under-the-radar pitcher right now who actually probably has the upper hand here. And Milwaukee, with their much better offense than Miami's, I think probably has the upper hand here. And the money is kind of reflecting that as well, up from minus 105 to minus 123 on Milwaukee. 68% of tickets, they are public, but 82% of the cash. So this looks like public and professionals are all on the Milwaukee side. So I agree with that, but I think the strongest play in that game is under in the first 5 innings. Baltimore at Atlanta. Atlanta lost yesterday. Staying at home now. They just lost a series to Anaheim at home. Anaheim continues to overperform, man. But I did say Anaheim had the better of the matchup yesterday. Baltimore was resting yesterday. They're coming in from Texas with a day off on a 2-game loss streak. So Baltimore does have a rest advantage here, although their bullpen is pretty bad. And they have Blewett, who Atlanta got rid of because he blows so many games and just blows in general. So he might appear in this. He will probably appear in this series against the team that tossed him away, which is ridiculous. But he's awful. But in this game, Baltimore does have the rest edge. They got Charlie Morton pitching, and he is old and really difficult to figure out. A 5.63 ERA, 1.57 whip on the season. Obviously, those numbers aren't good. 6.49 ERA on the road. Obviously not good, but he had a really, really bad start to the season. His team lost, his first 12 appearances, and then they won 5 straight appearances of his after they moved him to the bullpen and then moved him back into the starting rotation. It was like he became a different pitcher, and he's been reasonably good since then, even though they did lose his last start. He didn't pitch that badly against Texas. He had a 2.88 ERA in 5 starts in June. They won 4 of the 5. He had 30, and he had a 32-8 strikeout walk ratio. So Morton actually started pitching better, which is really insane and ridiculous. I mean, it looked like this guy's career was over. They sent him to the bullpen, and now all of a sudden he's an effective pitcher again. Really crazy. Up against the Braves, 52 at-bats worth against them. They have a 250 average, but a fairly high 833 OPS because he has a 15-9 strikeout walk ratio. That is too many walks. He's allowed home runs to Olsen and Profar, and it looks like Profar is back. When did he come back? Because I know he was suspended for PEDs. It looks like he just came back on July 2nd, so that will help Atlanta's offense. So Profar is back. I didn't even realize that. So Atlanta does have one of their top hitters back there at Profar. And it looks like he is hitting well, even though he's probably not on PEDs anymore, I guess. But he's hit well, I guess, in the 2 games that he's played so far. But Morton, the one other thing about Morton, though, that leads me to believe that maybe he might actually do okay here is that he was on Atlanta last year, man. So he's comfortable pitching in the stadium. But the team that got rid of you the previous year, the first time you go back and you face that team, you tend to be a little bit pumped up for it. So that might be a little bit of a motivating factor for Morton in that game as well. But he is going up against Spencer Strider, who is the way younger pitcher and the better pitcher. He's got a 3.86 ERA, 1.14 whip, a 3 ERA at home all this season for Atlanta. He's been pitching well, even though his walk numbers are too high. But he strikes a lot of guys out. Spencer Striker is more like it. 3.6 ERA in the month of June in 6 starts. They only won 3 of the 6, but had a 42-14 strikeout walk ratio. Again, that's too many walks, but it's a high strikeout rate, and he's hard to hit. He doesn't allow a lot of hits. So Strider, he also is trying to come back from injury, so he's been kind of working his way back, but he is kind of back in form at this point. So he is pitching well right now. And his career against Baltimore, they only have 1 hit and 15 at-bats against him with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. 0.67 average and 192 OPS. So it's a small sample size, but Strider has absolutely dominated Atlanta. Has dominated Baltimore. He's on Atlanta. What am I saying? The money looks like it's coming in on Baltimore. Atlanta down from -173 to -171. 75% of the tickets on them, but 56% of the cash on Baltimore, which makes some sense because Baltimore does have the rest edge, at least, like I said. If you wanted to fire on Baltimore on the money line, I would say exclude their bullpen, though. Probably go first 5 innings, although, well, maybe even actually don't because they at least rested their bullpen yesterday. So maybe you could go full game on that. I kind of like the under a little bit better in the first 5 innings. I wouldn't want anything to do with the bullpens in the under situation here, but total actually has gone up a little bit to 9 from a 9 juice to the under. 73% of tickets, 81% of the cash on the over. Money coming in on the over. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think both starting pitchers might actually do okay in this one. So I might be looking under first 5 there. White Sox at Colorado. It is finally happening, man. We have the historically bad White Sox from last year against the even more historically bad Colorado Rockies from this year. We have this matchup of the 2 worst teams in baseball right here, baby. White Sox, Rockies. Isn't it fun? Everybody's going to love this one. Colorado actually beat Houston yesterday, and they're staying at home. Maybe a little bit of a letdown spot for Colorado, but they have a travel edge because the White Sox are coming in from the West Coast. And they did just have a big series against the Dodgers, even though they got swept. They are having to travel time zones and move into elevation, so maybe not the greatest spot for the White Sox either. Hauser is pitching for the White Sox. He's been pretty good. 1.9 ERA, 1.17 whip. He's been more hittable on the road, though. 3.04 road ERA. And pitching at Coors Field might be a bit of a different story, but he's been good recently. The White Sox have actually won 3 of his last 5 starts. 2.64 ERA over that span in June. 23-10 strikeout walk ratio. Too many walks, but not horrible. And he allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, which actually has been the case all season. He's actually been pretty good all season, shockingly. And he is facing a bad Colorado offense. It's just a matter of how is he going to respond to pitching in this high elevation of Coors Field. But Colorado hasn't hit him well in the past. In 51 at-bats, 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, 196 average allowed, 582 OPS. So Hauser has done well against the Rockies. Historically, he's up against Senzatella, who is the worst of the 2 pitchers, 6.69 ERA, 1.93 whip, really bad, even worse at home with a 7.01 home ERA. Not in good form recently either, with 11 strikeouts to 14 walks in June, even though his team somehow won 3 of the 5 starts. I don't understand how, because, it doesn't even make any sense, man. He's just been bad overall. More walks than strikeouts, 5.56 ERA over that month. Not good. Up against the White Sox, they are a very bad offense, though. 28 at-bats. Really all of it is Rojas almost with 20 at-bats. But they have hit him well. 357 average, 900 OPS. Rojas has a home run off him. He has 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. So it does look like Hauser probably does have the upper hand here, and the money is coming in at Chicago. This is insane, man. The White Sox are a road favorite. When are you ever going to see that? That's how absolutely terrible the Rockies are. White Sox road favorite against them. 62% of tickets, 69% of the cash on the White Sox. Up from -115 to -125, so the money is coming in on them as well. That's just crazy. A total of 11. With these offenses being so bad, I kind of think that total is too high. I mean, that's a Coors Field total. Yeah, the pitching isn't great, but 71% of tickets on the over, 87% of the cash on the under. Usually when the total is that big, the odds makers are doing that for a reason, and you want to look towards an over, but in this case, I don't really think so. I mean, both offenses are just so bad that I think maybe an under might make sense in that one, and the public doesn't even seem to like the under idea in that one, even though sometimes they will kind of be more leaning towards an under in a game like this with bad offenses. But yeah, so I mean, leans to the White Sox and the under in that game for me. And the market seems to be also having those same leans. Houston at the Dodgers. Dodgers staying at home off a sweep of the White Sox. They're hot right now. They've won, 9 of their last 10, something like that. Staying at home. Not a bad spot for the Dodgers. Houston coming in from elevation, traveling from Colorado to the Pacific Coast for this off a loss yesterday. Houston did have to use some of their bullpen yesterday. Both teams did play yesterday. Bullpen, overall, I would say Houston has the better bullpen, but maybe the rest scenario, a little bit worse on the Houston side, although I still kind of prefer their bullpen. Lance McCullers is pitching for Houston, and he's been a roller coaster so far, man, trying to come back from injury. 6.61 ERA, 1.62 whip. He actually got injured again and then tried to come back, but he has a 0 ERA on the road so far this season. So he's gotten lit up at home in some starts, but in 3 road starts, he hasn't even allowed a run, which is kind of ridiculous. Against White Sox, Texas, and Pittsburgh, though, so really bad offenses. Nothing like what he's going to face here with the Dodgers. And last time out, he tried to come back from injury. He'd been off for a couple of weeks, and he got lit up against the Cubs in his last start. Had 1 strikeout, 4 walks, 8 earned runs, allowed 3 home runs. He got destroyed. And, of course, that was at home, where his 2 really bad starts this year, both been at home. Cubs, really good offense, but obviously so are the Dodgers. I don't think we can trust McCullers right now, man, and we have to wait to see if he bounces back. And unfortunately, because it looked like he was bouncing back really nicely, and then he got hurt again. I think he will probably return to form again, but it might not be here against a really good Dodgers team, which, by the way, the Red Sox game has begun. So this is going to be a delayed. At least you guys got to see the video live of me handicapping that game, because this video is going to be out a little bit late, but my plays don't start yet, so at least there is that. Anyway, McCullers, yeah, I mean, it is sad because he's probably getting more death threats. Those bad starts that he had at home, again, he's a guy that's been really good for Houston for a while, and the home crowd of his is just threatening him and his family, death threats, and he's not crying like Ketel Marte either. I don't know. It's just all awful, though. I mean, they should not be treating him that way. I mean, give him a break. He's coming back from injury. He's been really good for your team. I like McCullers. I hope he does better. We'll see what happens. He's going up against Ben Kasparius, who was really difficult to handicap. 3.97 ERA this year, 1.13 whip. He's only been in the league since last year. He's 26 years old. Numbers good this year, obviously. Pitching fairly well for the Dodgers in his first kind of full season. Worse at home, though. 4.45 ERA at home. Doesn't get you deep into games, though. He's generally going to kind of get you 3-4 innings, give you kind of an opener type of deal, and then be out of the game. Last time out, gave up 6 runs to Kansas City, who's an offense that can't even hit. So that is a bit concerning, I would say. Jacking his ERA up to 6.2 in the month of June with a 12-5 strikeout walk ratio. He's not exactly in great form right now. Don't know if we could trust Kasparius, but I believe Houston has never seen him before. So he might have a little bit of an edge in that regard just because Houston's never seen him before. But you're going to have to get the Dodgers bullpen into this game. So it's a little bit of a concern because of that. The money looks like it's coming in on Houston, even though the money line is up from minus 173 and minus 176. 76% of tickets, only 70% of the cash on LA. So it looks like the money is kind of fading LA here and going with Houston just because I guess they have the kind of more proven pitcher, at least over his career. I don't know if I love that. I might be leaning towards an over. Totals at 9, which is fairly high for a reason. 86% of tickets, only 78% of the cash on the over. Of course, public's going to like an over in a Dodgers game, but I don't know if you could trust either like pitching staff here right now, man, with no rest and with these starting pitchers maybe being a little bit iffy right now. I think maybe you'll see some runs come home in that game, even though Houston's offense not very good. Dodgers offense obviously is. Kansas City is at Arizona. Arizona just lost 2 in a row at home to San Francisco after winning the first 2 against them. So a little bit difficult to try to bounce back from that maybe because that's a tough series, man. Big divisional series. Arizona's bullpen, of course, stinks, so they are the worst bullpen. Kansas City is having to come in from Seattle, though, so Kansas City is having to travel in from Seattle. Both teams played yesterday. I still give Kansas City the bullpen edge, even with both bullpens being a little bit unrested. Kansas City does have the better bullpen. On the surface, it looks like Kansas City does have the way better starting pitcher here with Bubic pitching 2.25 ERA, 1.13 whip, really good. Even better on the road, 1.88 ERA on the road, but he is in a very hitter-friendly park here in Chase Field, and he hasn't been quite as good as of late with a 4.23 ERA in June, 31-9 strikeout walk ratio, so the strikeouts were still there, but the walks were high. And couple that with Kansas City not being able to hit. Kansas City lost 4 of his last 5 starts. So Bubic may actually have a more difficult matchup here, man. He's not pitching quite as well as he was earlier in the season. Arizona's a good hitting team. This is a good hitting ballpark. 22 at-bats in his career against Arizona. They have a 273 average. Naylor has a home run off him and an 895 OPS. So his numbers aren't very good against Arizona, even though I know Bubic is a lot better this year than he was in past seasons. 2-1 strikeout walk ratio against him. Not really much that you can really take away from that. But Bubic might actually not do that well in this start. And he's going up against Eduardo Rodriguez. So I think surprisingly, it might actually be the pitcher that's in the better form out of the two of them right now. He's got a 5.13 ERA and 1.56 whip, which doesn't look good. 4.96 ERA at home is a little bit better. But he had a 1.98 ERA in 5 starts in June. His team only won 2 of the 5 because Arizona, they weren't really helping him out with a lot of run support in some of these games. He had a 28-9 strikeout walk ratio, so his wildness is still a concern, but he has not been allowing a lot of runs, racking up a pretty good amount of strikeouts. He allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all 5 of those starts, although he faced some somewhat weak offenses. Miami, White Sox, Toronto's okay, Seattle's okay, Cincinnati's okay, so I guess you have to kind of just figure out, take from all that what you will, but of course he is facing a very weak offense this time in Kansas City. Obviously, Arizona has a huge hitting edge in this game, but Kansas City has a bullpen edge, but I think the starting pitching edge might not be what it looks like on the surface, where you think that Bubic, because he is the better pitcher overall, is the way to look here, but I'm not so sure about that. Rodriguez against this bad Royals lineup in 63 at-bats career-wise, 159 average, 443 OPS, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio. So Erod has actually been the better of the two. And it looks like Kansas City, shockingly, is actually public. When would you think Kansas City would be public, man, with the way that they've been playing recently? But Arizona hasn't been playing that well either. 53% of tickets, only 51% of the cash on Kansas City. Arizona down from -110 to -109. I agree with it. I think Arizona, overall, I mean, yeah, they've been playing really, really poorly. But, again, Arizona has a massive, massive offensive edge here. And that might wind up being the difference if the starting pitching edge is actually probably, I would slightly say it's actually even in favor of Arizona here. And then, yeah, the bullpen, you got to worry about Arizona's bullpen. That is true. So if you want to go first 5 innings on this, Arizona to be winning through the first 5, I don't hate that either. But if you go full game, you're getting Arizona's offense for the full game, so that does help as well. So I lean to Arizona in that game. Zach, what's up, man? Yeah, Bubic, that's right. You wait for me to talk about the Royals. I should have known it was you when I saw the comment come in, man. Unfortunately, I lean against your Royals again in that game, but we will see. And to finish it off, we have the Battle of the Bay, San Francisco at the A's. Although it's not really the Battle of the Bay now, is it? Because the A's are in the Sacramento AAA stadium now, which is ridiculous. The A's are returning home from a long road trip. They went to Detroit and then all the way out to the East Coast to New York and then to Tampa. So I think the A's are in a bad spot, man, returning home to a very kind of unfriendly park to them. They don't have an edge at home really at all. They've been pretty bad at home. The A's 15-27 at home. So it's a bad spot for the A's, man. They're not a very good team. They're returning home from a very long road trip, cross country, bad spot. And they could be a little bit distracted other than the fact that maybe San Francisco will draw their focus a little bit. The only thing that might help the A's a little bit besides that is that San Francisco did play yesterday. So the A's do have a rest advantage just because they didn't play yesterday, but they were traveling quite a bit. So still a bad spot for the A's. Bad spot for both teams. San Francisco's coming up that big divisional series against Arizona. I don't like how this sets up for either team here, man. San Francisco does, of course, have the way better bullpen. This is actually really the best bullpen in baseball against the worst, which is insane. San Francisco's is the best. The A's is the worst. Although San Francisco did have to use some of, or no, they didn't actually. Excuse me. Robbie Ray pitched a complete game yesterday. So San Francisco's bullpen is actually rested. So both bullpens are rested coming into this game. So obviously you got to give the bullpen edge to San Francisco. Do you give them the starting pitching edge with a 42-year-old Justin Verlander on the mound? I'm not so sure. 4.26 ERA this year, 1.39 whip. A little bit better on the road, 3.58 ERA, but this is going to be a weird stadium to pitch in, man. Very strange, very home run conducive ballpark. Verlander only made 3 starts in June as he was hurt for about a month, came back. He did okay, 4.02 ERA, 14-4 strikeout walk ratio. His team lost all 3 of those starts, but again, San Francisco can't hit right now, man. Their offense is terrible. So the one advantage the A's really do have here is that their hitting is better than San Francisco's, but still, Verlander might actually do well. He's been pitching okay recently. He has good numbers against the A's here, and the A's bats might be, distracted and in that bad spot after returning home. 53 at bats Verlander has against him. He's home to a 189 average, 566 OPS. 10-7 strikeout walk ratio is not very good, but the rest of the numbers pretty good for Verlander against the A's. But again, Verlander is probably worse this year than he has been at any point in his career. So we'll see what he can do. He's at least kind of been serviceable recently, though, and he's up against J.P. Sears, who's not pitching well. 5.09 ERA on the season, 1.3 whip. He's been way worse at home, 6.68 ERA. The home run ball has been a huge issue for him at home. 12 home runs allowed out of the 18 he's allowed this year, which both those numbers are awful, but 12 at home, really bad. 6.68 home ERA. So Sears has really had issues pitching in this Sacramento stadium. He wasn't great in June over 6 starts, 4.91 ERA, 24-11 strikeout walk ratio. He's kind of consistently mediocre throughout that span. He's an okay pitcher in general. He is facing a pretty bad offense here, though, in San Francisco, and he has done okay against them in the past. In 52 at-bats, 13-3 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, 676 OPS. So Sears actually hasn't done that bad against them, and given how bad the offense is on the San Francisco side, and given that you might see a distracted offense on the side of Oakland or the A's. I always say Oakland, especially because they're listed as Oak on the board here. And you might see a distracted offense or a kind of letdown scenario offense from San Francisco. It isn't even a good offense anyway. I might be looking under in this one too, man. Just like the Coors Field game, you have really high totals in these stadiums. This one at 10, but I could see it going under with this matchup like this. In first 5 innings, under maybe would make sense as well. But you probably want to go full game with the under because San Francisco's bullpen is really good and rested. And San Francisco's offense just isn't that good. 94% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. The over is very public, but I don't really agree with the over. And San Francisco looks like they're a public underdog on the road here with 66% of the tickets and cash. But Oakland creeping up a little, or A's up from minus 105 to minus 108. Probably because they have the rest advantage because San Francisco played yesterday, but there's no way that I would do anything with Oakland, or the A's, in that situation returning home from a road trip. I just would not do it. So that's going to do it for me, man. Let's have a happy 4th here. What else we got here? Oh, I missed Coin Clippers. I was like, Colin, nice name. Coin Clippers. Apparently as a Cubs fan. Sorry I missed Coin Clippers, man. When did those, how did we get comments before I even created the video at 1:33 a.m.? Crochet on the Cy Young future. I mean, that's difficult, man. You're going to have to go, you're going up against Scooble there, man. So we will see. You think Tucker is going to hit home run off of, so you're talking about Kyle Tucker off of Miles Mikolas, I believe is what you're talking about there, right? You think he's going to homer? I never go with home run props, man, because that's the thing. The public loves home run props. They love to root for guys hitting home runs. Guys will, the best home run hitters in the league only hit home runs once every 10, 11 at bats. So you never get good enough odds on the home run props. So I recommend hits plus runs plus RBIs if you want to go with an offensive player prop to do damage against a pitcher. That's going to do it, man. Once again, the plays I gave out today, all full game run lines: Cincinnati Reds, Tampa Bay Rays, Texas Rangers. That's going to do it for me. Learn to Toad on Twitter. GiveSendGo.com/TowerGameToad. Patreon.com/Learn to Toad, I think is where it is. That's not totally set up yet, but we'll see what I'm going to do with that. It's probably going to involve a lot of Uke content. You can go find Covered in Uke on YouTube, where I am posting more of my stuff now, double posting what I'm posting on Twitter. And go check out the Bettor Off Dead audio. We're on all audio platforms, and I'm monetizing that. So if you listen, it'll help me out. Subscribe to everything. Rate it on Apple, on the audio platforms. Subscribe, like, comment on the YouTube stuff. Go check me out on Instagram. Interact with me there because I do have the Instagram up as well. Happy 4th, everybody. Let's have some fun, party. Don't party so hard that you get yourselves in, a dangerous situation, but definitely have fun. Happy 4th, baby. Peace out.